Welcome to the Elite Designer Podcast by the White Space Elite Circle, a community where creatives learn, earn, and network to stand out. This podcast delivers top-tier insights for designers and creatives looking to grow both in career and business. Join our host, Oluwafemi and a lineup of brilliant creative minds as they share real-world experiences, proven strategies, and powerful tips to thrive in this ever-evolving industry.
Hello creatives from every part of the world, every part of Africa, every part of Nigeria. This is the Elite Designer Podcast, and I am Oluwafemi, glad to welcome you into another beautiful episode of this podcast. And today we're going to explore one of the most important and timeless questions in our creative journey. And it's a topic bordering down on design. What is design? And before I dive into all that, telling you about what design is and what design is not, here are the few things you will learn: the meaning of design, understanding design and taking it as a life practice. And of course, we're going to be talking about the few perspectives to frame design in your mind. Design as problem solving, as communication, as this and that. And like I said, what design is and what design is not. So let me just dive into my definition of design. So as it is, design is a structured and intentional process of planning and creating solutions that are both functional and meaningful. It doesn't only have to deal with colors, fonts, text, and all those, photos and images, but it also deals with balancing utility, that's functionality, with emotions to make things work better for people and to make those people resonate on a deeper level. So in another language, it is a structured methodology involving, research, ideation, iteration, prototyping, and implementation. These are steps to solving a problem, and these steps are non-linear. What it means is that you can research, and then after researching the problem at hand, you begin to ideate to say, okay, how do I solve this problem? I have ideas, and begin to put ideas down, and then you begin to iterate those ideas. When you get to a point where probably you feel that an idea needs to be refined, you can also go back to researching, and then maybe when you're done, then you can move ahead to ideation with results you got from your research. And then you begin to prototype and then implement. And probably when you get to your prototyping stage, when you feel that you need to add one or two things to the solution you're bringing to the table, you may need to probably go back to your ideation and then re-ideate to re-prototype. That's what I mean by it's non-linear. So it's not that you are strictly abiding by research, ideation, iteration, prototyping, implementation. No, you can just pick them at random depending on what stage you are in the design process. And this structured methodology is aimed at solving problems and improving interactions with man-made environments, physical weather, digital or abstract entities. And the truth is, at its core, design is nothing but problem solving with purpose. And the goal is to address specific needs within specific constraints. So the people that are involved in designers like you and I, are professionals who engage in the process of design, ranging from tangible objects like, furnitures and vehicles to intangible systems like services and digital interfaces and products that are intended to make positive impact and solve problems. So, like I said, in summary, design is about problem solving, and it has a structured methodology that is non-linear, but design is not about your colors, your font, your text, and all those beautiful things. Yeah, so as we go on, I would like to quickly point out that I was really inspired by Debbie Millman, the host of Design Matters, one of the longest running design podcasts in the world. And Debbie often asks our guests to reflect on what design means to them. And today I'm going to do the same. So let's continue with the obvious part of this conversation: design as meaning making. So when you think about design, your mind might go straight to logos, posters, or maybe the layout of a website. But like I said before, it is more than the aesthetics. At its core, it's about problem solving, and of course, communicating ideas, shaping perceptions, building connection between people and the product, or between people, as it were. A very good example that a lot of people give most of the time is the Nike swoosh. On its own, it's just a curved line. But what do we see when you look at it today? We see speed, we see movement, we see victory, sportsmanship, we see determination. And that is absolutely not an accident. It's decades of meaning packed into a single mark, right? We spoke about branding in one of our podcasts, and one of the things said is that brands are not built over a short time, right? Recognition is not built over a short time. So good designs do not just occur or appear. Good designs carry intention. They tell a story and they make us feel something. So here's my first challenge for you. Think about one design you've seen this week that left an impression on you. Maybe it was a billboard or social media post or even just a packaging in a store. What about that design caught your eye? Is it the colors, the typography, the message behind it? And more importantly, what meaning did it carry? So design, like I said, isn't just about visuals. It's about storytelling. It's about problem solving. It's about communication and building connections between people. So before I move into, design as a life practice, I'd also like to talk about, few perspectives to frame your mind as per what design really is. So like I said, design is problem solving. Or let's take design as problem solving. Design is not just making things look beautiful. It's about making them work. Every design decision should solve a problem. And the things or the question you should be asking yourself is, how will the audience understand the message? How can these products be easy to use? Or how can we reduce confusion and improve clarity? How can this product solve people's problems without compounding the process of solving the problem? Make sure that your designs solve problem. Another perspective is design is a means of communication. It is a visual language. Just like words, shapes, colors carry their meanings, design has its own meanings, right? Or let me say designs have their own meanings. For instance, red can signal urgency, white can communicate sophistication, white and black. Bold typography can express confidence, and so on and so forth. Basically, design is essentially telling stories without words or enhancing words with visuals. Also, design can come as an experience. See, good design is invisible. Think about apps you love. You don't notice the design. You just feel, the ease, joy, or trust they create. So the truth is that exactly is design shaping experience and emotion. In fact, good design is almost unnoticeable. It's like engraved as part of your life, such that you walk past them and it looks as if they're not there. But the truth is, when those things are taken away from your everyday life, you feel something is missing. That is good design. It doesn't have to be shouty. In fact, good design has to have good experience in such a way that it locks in your life and fits in your everyday life. And that will lead us to design as a life practice, right? I'm going to talk about design as a life practice. So another is design as connection. Debbie Millman, the host of Design Matters, says that design is the conscious effort to impose meaningful order. Again, it is the conscious effort to impose meaningful order. So you have to be conscious about imposing a meaningful order, either by color or by the visual language or by the experiences, right? Or by problem solving. As long as you are imposing a meaningful order, design connects people to ideas. It connects businesses to customers and cultures to their identity. It is a bridge between what exists and what is possible. That is design for you. And of course, the fifth is that design can be seen as growth. For students, design is also a journey. It shapes your ability to observe the world, think critically, and create with purpose. The truth is, when you observe the world, you see the world with fresh eyes, and design helps you to do this. When you think critically, you think about the effectiveness of your design, the problem your design is solving. And when you create with purpose, it's not just with decoration. No, it means your design is not created just for decoration. It means your design carries meaning. So, in summary, design is equal to problem solving plus storytelling plus communication plus experience. And that is where creativity comes in contact with intention, with purposefulness. So I'll be moving on to, the design as a life practice. Let me just say probably the second section of this entire episode. So like I said, design doesn't stop at posters and logos. Design is something we live. If you can engrave it into your everyday life, so beautiful. And design doesn't have to be, in quotes, very, very obvious, but it has to be part of your life. So think about it. We design, our spaces, our schedules, our habits, the way you arrange your desk, the way you organize your day, the way you choose your clothes. All of those things are a form of design. In fact, I can see them as more of system design. You're organizing yourself, the clothes you wear, how you talk to people. It's still kind of linked to branding, but again, we're talking about design here. And one thing I've learned in my own, journey is that my life is my biggest design project. Every choice I make, who I work with, who I spend my time with, what I say yes to or no to, all of these shape the life I'm living. And just like, with design work, sometimes I get it right and sometimes I really need to redesign. It's not every time that, you get it right on the first time you attempt a design. And if you see your life like that, you wouldn't beat yourself up so many times when you get something wrong. So you need to reflect on something, that what part of your life feels intentionally designed and what part feels random. What's one small thing you could redesign this week, to bring more clarity and joy to your life? Again, ask yourself, what part of your life feels random, that I just wake up and do this, and or as things come, I live the day. And what part of your life do you intentionally work on, or do you intentionally design? I'm moving into the okay. And before I leave this section, before I go into the third section, I would just like to tell you that being a designer doesn't stop at client work. In fact, that's just the beginning. You are also a designer of your life. Again, can go into personal branding and how people see and perceive you. So let me just go into the third section. It talks about, your authenticity and your vulnerability. Your process, your authenticity and your vulnerability. The truth is, design isn't always neat and perfect. But behind every beautiful, design project is usually a messy process with, trials and errors, revision, and sometimes even failure, sometimes fatigue, burnout, and all those things. I'm going to make another reference to Debbie Millman that often highlights this in our conversations. She says that she asks her guests about their struggles, their rejections, the projects that didn't go as planned, and almost every time those experiences end up being the ones that shape them most deeply. The things that you struggle with, that, the challenges, the projects that give you tough time, most times those are the things that shape you. One of the things I would like to mention concerning my own creative journey is that I've jumped on a lot of projects that really stretched me. Some I did well, some I didn't do well. But most times I make sure that I try my best possible, even if I don't know, much about it. And I've been able to see that the more I do that, the more I learn. My aptitude increases. The more I see that I can even be more than what I thought I was. And every project has taught me something important, whether it be a 3D, 2D animation. Then yes, there was a project I did back then and I jumped on it and I felt like a failure. But trust me, did I deliver that project? No. Did I get to, did I get paid? No. However, I learned something, that there are some times when you cannot handle some things, don't jump into it until you are prepared for it. And there are some times you jump into a project because you can do it. You just have this gut feeling, right? Even though you've not done that kind of projects before, there will just be this gut feeling that will tell you you can handle this. There will be another that will tell you you can't. Just step away. There will be another that will tell you you may not be able to, but if you get people here and there, you guys can do it together. Again, it's important to know that you have something to learn in your creative journey. And that moment, that I did that project, I didn't get that money, reminded me that failure isn't the opposite of design, that it is part of the design process. Because I couldn't finish that project, I had to go back to that software I couldn't use well, and I learned it deeply. And now I'm using it to, eat, in quote. Like I gain a lot of money from that skill that I learned, right? And let me add this: trends come and go, right? But your originality as a designer, your authenticity stays. Your unique way of seeing and solving problems, That is what makes you valuable as a designer. So don't be afraid to bring your experiences to the table. Don't be afraid to bring your culture, your perspective into your work. And that is what gives your design its soul. I wrote a book, The Complete Creative, and I put these things inside, telling people about the fact that you are a prism and you shouldn't, limit yourself, and should try to bring your own experiences into your design, into your work, and that is what makes you, you. The book will be out for sale in some couple of weeks. I think you should get one, right? I think you should get one. Probably before the end of the year 2025, that book will be out for sale. So this is one reflection for you. Think about one project you struggled with, or even the one you failed at. What did that project teach you about yourself as a designer? Is it that, okay, you sulk when you don't do well? Is it that you pick yourself up and tell yourself, I must overcome this thing? For me, one of the things that a failed project does to me is that I pick myself up, I don't beat myself up, and tell myself, this thing doesn't have a mouth, I'm going to overcome you. Then I go to the software and learn it. And the truth is, that has helped me build some good backbone, some strong backbone in this creative space. I can't count the number of software I know. And I think over the years, my software grabbing ability, bringing me a new software now, is quite impressive, right? That's because I challenge myself every day to understand the concepts from the theoretical part and, the abstract concept and the technical concept and all those things. So let me just go into this the fourth section. Talks about design in the everyday, right? Design is everywhere, and it is the way street signs are laid out that we don't get lost. It's in the way a church bulletin or a church flyer is printed. It's in the way your favorite apps guide you smoothly from one action to the other. It's in your Google Map. It's in your, your WhatsApp, your Instagram. Design is everywhere around us, silently shaping how we think and interact. It's in your school curriculum, right? How is it designed to make you earn that certificate? It's in the mentoring program. It's in your user interface. It's everywhere. Even it's in the government of your nation, right? There's a structure, there's a design to help people, live according to the law. Like I said, design is everywhere, and it's silently shaping how we move, think, and interact. So think it like this. It is more than colors, text, and font. So this week, I want you to practice seeing design in your everyday life. Look at your environment and ask, what is working here, and what would I improve if I could? Design is in the traffic system. That's, green, red, and amber lights on the streets that tells people when to stop, when to slow down, when to move. That is a design system, right? Design is everywhere. So if I tell you that you are a designer, I don't mean that you are a person that sits in front of a laptop and, clicks on Photoshop or Illustrator or any complex design software. No. So the practice of observation is one of the most powerful skills that a designer can have. When I drive, when I scroll through my phone, whatever it is I do, I make sure I practice observation. Okay, why did this person do this like this? Why is this system in place? Why are these people living like this? Why are these people talking like this or thinking like this? That helps you to build a structured system, and it helps you to build a problem-solving mindset, so that when somebody brings probably maybe they want to rebrand, or maybe they have an event, you won't think in the light of just making a flyer. You will think about how whatever it is you're doing will solve a problem, and even how people will navigate to understand whatever it is you've done, right? So when you have that kind of mindset, you strive to give more value, and you see yourself helping more people than you can ever think. And at the end of the day, you have more value being attracted to you. So here's my takeaway. Let's just do a recap of this conversation. I said I defined what design is and the perspective to design, and also design is making meaning, or meaning making, as it were. It's about communicating ideas and shaping perceptions. It's about problem solving, right? Also, design is also a life practice. You are designing your own life every day. Look at your life as a project and tell yourself, what are the things I'm intentional about? What are things I am not intentional about? Another is that the process matters as much as the outcome. Failure, struggles, and authenticity are part of the journey. You don't have to be perfect at first trial, right? And finally, design is all around us, influencing everything from products we buy to the way we navigate the world. And remember that very good designs, excellent designs, top-notch designs are engraved as part of our everyday lives. So here is a challenge for the week. I want you to journal on the question, what does design mean to me? Just ask yourself that question. Then just create one visual piece, right? It could be a poster, it could be a photo series, it could be a photograph, it could be a video, it could be motion graphics, it could be an illustration. But just make sure that you create one visual piece that expresses your personal definition of design. It could be an article, right? That is how you begin to answer the big question for yourself. Thank you for joining me again on this beautiful episode. Remember, like I said, design isn't just about what we see. It's about how we choose to shape the world around us. It's about problem solving. It's about communication and connecting people to people, businesses to businesses, and of course, people to businesses. Until next time, keep designing with intention. See you in the next episode.
We appreciate you joining us for this episode. Be sure to rate, review, leave a like, and follow the channel. Also, feel free to visit whitespacecreativerse.com to join the community and access resources that will help you reach your career and business goals faster. That's www.whitespacecreativerse.com. Until next time, stay creative.